Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited to be doing this, even though I filmed this exact video yesterday. If you guys watched my last video that I uploaded where I was cooking a vegan breakfast sandwich and eating it with you guys, you saw how the camera was like going in and out of focus the entire time. That's what it was doing when I tried to film this video yesterday, so I decided to sit down and refilm it today, and it's totally fine that I'm having to redo it because I'm still just as excited to talk about this today as I was yesterday, because this is amazing. Now, this is not typically the type of content that I post on my channel, but since I've been posting on TikTok, I have discovered there are tons of people out there that love the same things that I do, so I'm hoping that maybe this video will reach people on YouTube that also enjoy this type of thing so that we can just relish in the amazingness together. Before I get into this, I tried to do an eyeshadow look inspired by one of Rose's dresses from the Titanic. It's one of my favorite dresses, that really beautiful blue one that she wore. I tried my best, you know what I mean? I'm not a beauty guru, but I'm only doing what I can. So today's video, I'm gonna be showing you guys my authentic Titanic artifacts that I have. These are tiny little pieces, tiny little relics of the actual real Titanic. Yes, they are from the actual ship. I purchased these after doing some research into the people that were selling them, and I do believe them to be legit after looking into their names, and they are known Titanic collectors in the community, so I do believe these to be legit, and I'm really excited to talk about them with you. And also I want to tell you guys something strange towards the end of this that possibly is explainable, but I'm really not sure, and you guys will have to let me know what you think. But first I want to show you guys the pieces of the Titanic that I have, the real authentic pieces of RMS Titanic. Holy shit, I cannot believe I'm saying that. And I'm gonna tell you guys the stories behind them. So even if you're not someone that's into the Titanic, I feel like this is something that's just fascinating anyways. It's like owning a little piece of history. But just a little backstory about me. Some of you guys on YouTube, I'm not sure, may or may not know, I've been obsessed with the Titanic since I was a little girl and I first saw the movie when it came out. I remember my sister had seen it at her friend's house, and she came home and she was like, oh my God, we have to buy this. We have to go to Walmart and buy this right now. And I remember going to Walmart with my mom and my sister, and the movie had just recently been released on VHS, so they had like the little, you know, those like cube things that they have set out that's all like decorative, and they had like all the VHSs in it, and it was like when they had like the blue VHS version that was like the full screen, and then the gold VHS version that was the widescreen edition. And I remember we accidentally bought the wrong one first. We bought the gold one and we had to go back and get the full screen one because we had one of those console TVs, and I was like 7 or 8 years old. I'm not exactly sure, either 7 or 8. When I watched that movie for the first time, my mom let me watch it that young because she let me watch anything if it was a part of history, something that I could learn something from. And I remember just watching it and just instantly feeling obsessed and connected, and I watched it over and over and over and over again. I have seen that movie hundreds of times. It's my favorite movie of all time. Makes me feel all sorts of feelings. I cry every single time I watch it. Ever since I was young, I always wanted to own a piece of the Titanic myself. I didn't think it was something that would be possible. I really wanted to, but I didn't know that I would ever be able to afford getting my hands on something. And I just recently took the plunge and I made these purchases after doing research, like I said, into the sellers to make sure that they're legit. And I now own a piece of the Titanic, and it really does kind of make everything that happened that much more real for me just by looking at these pieces. And like, if wood could talk, like if these pieces could tell me the stories of what it's seen and where it's been, oh, the stories it would have to tell me. And so I just feel the weight of the history in these pieces. So I'll stop dragging it out and I'll go ahead and get into it. If somebody didn't comment video starts at blah 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 yet, I'm gonna be surprised. I'm gonna start deleting those comments, by the way. Video started the moment I started talking, if you weren't aware. So the first piece that I'm gonna show you guys is this right here. This right here is a tiny little piece of one of the deck chairs on RMS Titanic. This is a real authentic piece, and it's absolutely mind-blowing that I have this. I'm going to tell you guys how this was recovered, where it came from. Each of these pieces came with a bunch of documents of emails and handwritten letters from 1912 and things like that to kind of help you feel more comfortable in knowing that you bought an authentic piece of the Titanic, because you don't want to just buy something off the internet and it not be real. So this comes with like a stack of documents talking about what this piece is exactly from. Immediately after Titanic sinking in April of 1912, the White Star Line dispatched the Western Union cable ship CS Minia to the site to search for and secure the bodies of Titanic's unfortunate victims. While on the site, crew members of the Minia also recovered many pieces of wreckage, including grand staircase molding, dining room chairs, Titanic's wheelhouse door, and several deck chairs that had been thrown off the ship during the sinking to use as flotation devices. One such chair was brought home by the first officer of the Minia, Mr. James Adams, as a memento to an unusual job well done. The damaged Titanic chair was then passed on to James' grandson, Gerald Mullins, who later sold it to Steve Santini, along with several of his grandfather's other recovered Titanic relics. Unfortunately, the chair was too badly damaged to be repaired, and so the decision was made to piece it out with the hope that the sale of its parts would help raise funds for the preservation and acquisition of other relics to be displayed at Mr. Santini's Titanic Museum. So this right here is a piece of the broken deck chair, and on this piece is where this one was taken from. So as you guys can see, this piece has gone through many other things since it was a part of the Titanic and on the ship. This to me looks to be one of these little like spoke things right here. So I think that this would have been from the part that people would sit in. So it's really such an unreal experience to have something like this in my hand, to know that people were sitting on these chairs and people like actually sat on this piece and had no idea what was going to end up happening. So I feel like holding something like this in my hand, like I'm feeling so many feelings and emotions. It just feels so connected to the people that lost their lives, and it's a way to remember what happened to them, because the thing is that if you guys are unaware, there is nobody left that was on the Titanic that night. Like, even the survivors of the Titanic have all passed away now, so we have to keep telling these stories and sharing the history of what happened so that it's not forgotten. So having something like this, keeping the documents all with it for, you know, as I age, and I will pass it down to my children, and hopefully they will help share the stories so that the people that lost their lives are not forgotten. Now, the thing that's really fascinating is that the documents that came with this actually have like a copy of a handwritten letter from Officer James Adams while he was on CS Minia seeking out bodies, and it was talking about how difficult it was to actually recover bodies. They only actually ended up recovering like 17 of them. So on this exact same ship and on the exact recovery mission that this piece came from is where my next piece came from. So the next piece of the RMS Titanic that I have is this right here. So this might look like a tiny little sliver of wood, but it's so much more than that. Like, this could potentially be a piece of wood that is from the breaking point of the Titanic, because as you guys know, when the Titanic was sinking, she split into two parts. This is probably from that part. They do not know for sure if it's from that part, but they do know that it is most likely from the deck of the ship. And the reason being is because it is authentic Titanic pine wood, and that is what the Titanic deck was made out of. The person that acquired the wreckage that this piece came from was on board the same ship, CS Minia. His name was William J. Parker, and he was actually a carpenter. So when he recovered a bunch of wreckage that's also known as flotsam from the waters that night, he actually had a bunch of the wood that he collected turned into like various items such as cabinets and picture frames and all sorts of things like that. And one of the things that he made was a liquor cabinet. It was ironically displayed at the Titanic Museum in Branson, Missouri, which is the only Titanic museum that I've ever been to. It's less than 2 hours away from me, and the cabinet that this came from is in that museum, which is insane. I remember when I first went to that museum, I was just in tears. I cried. I felt so many emotions, like being that close to pieces of the Titanic and life jackets that people wore and items that they owned. And now I will tell you like the part that this came from in just a moment, but it's so weird because when I purchased this piece, I didn't know that the cabinet that this came from was displayed in the Branson, Missouri Titanic Museum, because there's Titanic museums all around the world. I didn't know that this came from that one. So it's just so weird to me that I felt like this like need to buy it, and that it's at the museum that I've been to that I really love, and it's like super close. I don't know. Am I making something out of nothing? Probably. I'm just amazed by this all around. But anyways, when the liquor cabinet was displayed in Orlando, Florida, they had one of the shelves removed. Now, I don't know if the shelf was like broken or whatnot, but they had it removed and they sold it as an individual piece. And that is where this piece came from. So I will show you guys a picture of this right here. This is the piece of wood that mine came from. So this is from this, and here is a photo of the liquor cabinet. So this shelf was inside of this liquor cabinet. Now, I don't know why these pieces were split up and broken up and sold as individual pieces. I don't know if it's for the same reason for why they did that with the broken deck chair, but whatever reason, having these in my hands is something I never thought I would have. I never thought I would have a piece of the Titanic, but my goal for this is I really want to get this in like a shadow box with like a photo of the Titanic to hang on the wall so that it is more tangible and like more safely kept, because I feel like this is just a little bit, I don't really care for the packaging of this one necessarily. So I do want to put something special together for that, and very carefully to hang on my wall or something like that. And you know, these will be passed down in my family, and hopefully they keep them, and it helps people be inspired to tell the story of the Titanic and to remember what happened. And hopefully it helps you guys to be inspired to learn more about what happened and to remember the people that lost their lives that night. But now I'm gonna move over to the spooky side. Mark's not home. I already have chills all over my entire body because talking about this stuff freaks me out. But I do want to say before I tell you guys this could just be me noticing it now because I have these pieces, so I'm more aware of how I feel. Maybe this was happening before and I just wasn't noticing it, because when I bought these, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to pay attention to see if anything strange happens in my apartment that wasn't happening before, because you never know, there could be a spirit of someone that passed away on the Titanic attached to these pieces, or just the fact that they've gone through so much. You never really know when you're purchasing something like this, like what energy it has attached to it. And I fully believe that things can have stuff attached to them. So I was just telling myself I want to be fully aware of like if anything different happens. And something different has happened. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if maybe this had happened before and I just didn't notice it. I don't know. I do actually have a clip of me that I will show you guys after I tell you, from the video that I filmed yesterday that I'm not able to use because the camera kept going in and out of focus. But it happened to me while I was talking about this, and you don't have to believe me. You do not have to believe this. That's totally fine, but I'm just gonna tell you guys this is what happened to document it for myself in case it continues to happen. And obviously I will keep track of this in the warmer months, because I feel like if this doesn't happen when it's like 80 degrees outside, then it's probably just a weather temperature thing that maybe now I'm noticing. But at the same time, I can't explain it because the way that it happened was just really, really weird. So I've been leaving these pieces, like I've been telling you guys, on my desk in the computer room until I can find a better place to put them. So yesterday I was editing my vegan mukbang video, and all of a sudden I got a pocket of cold air just like on this hand that was laying on my mouse, which is weird because I have my computer sitting on the desk right next to my mouse. So it's more likely that my hand is gonna feel some sort of heat coming from the computer before it's gonna feel cold air. Like, it's not like I'm sitting next to a fridge. I'm sitting next to a computer that gets hot. I'm sitting there editing that video, and this pocket of cold air, and I felt it like go like this, like I felt it just like appear over my hand. And so Mark was on his computer right next to me, and I told him, I said, come here and put your hand above my right hand and tell me if you can feel the temperature difference. His hand got to about right here over mine, and he said, I can feel it. Like, it is considerably colder over your hand. He was so weirded out. He's like, I can't explain that. He'd move his hand away and then move it back, and it was just pocket of cold air right over me. This hand wasn't feeling like that at all. Like, I could put my hand in that spot and feel the temperature difference from this side to this side. It was insane. I got chills. Not to mention, since I put these items in that room, it has been a lot colder in there. Mark can confirm this. It definitely has been. Also, I don't know if maybe it's just like a temperature thing and I'm just noticing it now because I have these pieces. I really don't know. I don't want to make something out of nothing, but I did want to document it and tell you guys regardless, because you just never know. And if it happens again, I will try and get a clip of my arm, because every single time it happens, I get goosebumps everywhere. Like, it just makes me I don't know if I'm getting goosebumps because of the cold air or if I'm getting goosebumps because I'm just like, this is crazy. Anyways, yesterday when I was filming that video where I was telling you guys that that happened, it happened to me while I was filming it. I was sitting there and I was talking to you guys about the temperature, and it was like just a gust of cold air just goes like this, and I felt it on this side of my neck, not on this side at all. And I didn't want to make something out of it when I was filming, so I literally went right back to what I was talking about and just acted like it never happened, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm crazy or like I'm trying to make something out of nothing. But I thought it was strange, and so I'll show you guys that clip right here. And I was really cold when I was in there on my computer, and I came in here and I looked at the thermostat and it was 72, and it felt like it was like 60. It was so cold. And so I'm like, weird. So I really don't know what to make of that. Now, like I said, I am not above thinking that there could be an explanation for this, but as I said, I just wanted to document it. It's not that I want something to be attached to these pieces, it's just I believe in the paranormal, I believe in spirits attaching themselves to objects, and these pieces in particular have gone through a lot. And just the fact that these pieces came from such a tragic situation, I just wanted to be aware and to note if anything did happen. And also, I've been doing videos on Titanic and all sorts of things over on my TikTok, so if you guys would like to go check that out, I will link it down below at the top of my description. I would appreciate your guys' support over there. I've been having a blast on TikTok, like I'm becoming a ticker talker. That made me sound my age, so I'm gonna stop. But I am gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Oh, and by the way, if you finished this video and watched it from beginning to end, please leave me a ship emoji down below, because that lets me know you watched it, and I would greatly appreciate that. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Give it a thumbs up too. Okay, I'll let you guys go now. Thank you for being here. I love you, and I'll see you guys in my next video.